with Tech for Text. We're a community that supports independent trade with the help of vendors and distributors. We're live Thursdays at 8 p.m. London time, and we will be streaming to Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. You can listen to our podcasts on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon, Google, TuneIn, and others. And now, let's talk Tech Talk.
Well, hello everyone. Welcome to Tech for Tech Tech Talk. This is a live show where we aim to help your business grow. This is episode 132, and it's How Much Do You Charge? I'm Phil Griffiths, and this is
Jenny, and let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it. So today on the show, we've got Ken at Kenny Clever, as well as Will at Consumer Tech. And obviously, guys, if you can hear and see us, let us know. As I always say, it's going to be a boring show if you can't. I'm not sure if Facebook's working regarding the names or anything along that line. So if you come up as Facebook user, please just put your name at the end of your comments so we know who we're talking to. It looks like Facebook user things seems to be causing issues again. So Facebook users, just put your name at the end. It seems that the link we normally share out doesn't seem to be working still. So surprise, surprise there, Facebook. Right, okay, so we've got the PC guy saying evening. I'm guessing that's Jay, the PC guide. So he says, sounds perfect. Facebook user says evening, loud and clear. Good to see you, Ken and Will. Doesn't want to see me and Jenny, but so it's just that's how we're going. We got Welshy Tech, looks fine and sounds fine. We've got no problem, evening all. Good evening from John Merritt, another evening, and it's Dan. So I don't know if that's Dan saying I'm Dan, or if it's saying that someone else is Dan. It's Dan. Yeah, you got to watch out for that Dan guy. He gets around a bit. So we got evening folks from Celtic Computers, and we've got Alex at AJ Computing as well. So thank you for tuning in, guys. Let's have a chat about pricing tonight. But before we do that, I'm going to let Ken introduce himself. Ken, tell us about yourself, who you are, what you do, and if you've got any tips or stories for us today.
Ken from Kenny Clever in sunny North Tyneside on the coast, which wasn't sunny today, it was raining. First tip would be take a coat with you, even if it's sunny, because you never know at the minute. It's turning like you've never seen. But I think the more important one is listen to your peers, especially the mistakes they make, and learn from them.
That's true.
Okay, some pretty good advice there, definitely. So definitely the one with a coat. You just never know when you're going to need it. We've also got Sharon from Eurosoft saying hello, everyone. And we've got Welshy Tech saying evening, Will and Ken as well. So thank you guys for tuning in, as we said. Let's go over to Will. So Will, introduce yourself. Let us know who you are, what you do, and any tips or stories for us today.
Hi folks, I'm Will from Consumer Tech, based in Scotland, Dunfermline, 25 miles outside of Edinburgh. I think my tip for tonight is going to be about don't let the big companies walk over you. And that's referring to a certain postal company who lost tablets that I posted correctly with battery stickers on the box, and they got stopped at Edinburgh going down to London.
I didn't take you for a drug deal, Will.
Well, I think drugs would have got them better. So they got stopped, and basically, to cut a long story short, they sent a letter telling me the items were prohibited and they were destroyed. So I sent about 4 letters, including one of Ben Ashcroft's letters about demand before court action that is mentioned on the shows before. And I got a phone call today, and believe it or not, they've not destroyed the items because they've got a backlog. So the items are being sent back to me. And it was through persistence that, I wasn't letting them get away with it. Just about £700 worth of tablets.
Are they posting them back to you, though?
And they're on their way back to me. So if anybody's looking to buy Surface Pros, they're back up for sale.
Nice one.
So yeah,
then some 700 people needed some tablets.
Yeah,
unreal. Honestly, it's just unreal. But we've had this before. Yeah, where there's no one company out there, and we've spoke about it on other shows before, that you could really put your trust into courier-wise. It doesn't matter. And the problem is we put a battery sticker on the box. If I didn't put a battery sticker on the box, I was told by the post office, it would have been sent, no bother. But it was stopped by airlines, and they were going to take it by by motor vehicle. But it's because that battery sticker was on the box.
Crazy.
Okay.
It's strange.
You think of all the things what got
Very
batteries in these days?
Yeah, exactly.
Pretty much everything.
I took. You get your smartwatches that's delivered by Royal Mail. What's the name of that? And they've got batteries in them and things. Yeah, so it's just crazy. But yeah. Persistent speed.
There's not much what hasn't got a battery in.
Yeah.
Even if you think of it, a desktop computer's got a small battery, and if you think about
Yeah.
it, a watch has got a battery, and even these new rings, what they're doing now, smart rings get batteries built in them and all sorts. So I think everything. There's not many things that don't come with a battery, one form or another. But there we go. I suppose it's the lithium ones what they're more worried about, but still. Right. Okay. Let's go on to Jen then. So Jen, if you want to introduce yourself, if people don't know who she is already, and let us know what you're talking about today before we get onto the main topic.
All right then. Hi there. I'm Jenny at Tech for Techs, and I guess you would say I'm working on the admin side of things, while Phil is the beauty side of it on the videos. I get down and actually work.
About the beauty
Okay,
bit, for themselves,
but moving right along, I would like to talk about TechMax and give you an update. As you know, we were going to have Case King as our main sponsor. Aerocool will be sponsoring lunch. The Tech Awards by Strong. Our digital sponsor is Iyama, and we have PAX 8 as well. We will have talks by Kit Guru, Business Bollocks, Hammond and Co. Accounting, and we will have a roundtable discussion and, as always, Battle of the Distributors. If you haven't signed up for a talk and you would like to do one, let me know at info@techfortex.co.uk. We had a new sign up as of today. Kieran Francis at Cloud Dolphin, one of our own. He's going to be at TechMax. So everybody flood his stall first. Make him feel welcome. He's got to be christened into the fold. So go over to Cloud Dolphin and see Kieran. We're going to have some more guests. We're going to have, like I said, Kit Guru, PCR, Gadget Joe, Tech Hut, and iDoctor Device Repair. And that's just some of the names, along with the ones scrolling along there that you can see at TechMax.
Okay, so it's pretty good. Yeah, so definitely looking forward to seeing some of the new people. I'm going to say seeing Kieran from Cloud Dolphin for the first time.
Yeah.
That'd be good. And obviously the influencers and obviously the talks what we've got lined up. We've got accountants going to be there, as Jen says.
Hammond and Co. Actually, they're our accountants.
Yeah. So they'll be doing a talk and they'll be exhibiting as well, so you can go up to them and talk to them. Which is going to be pretty good. And got Emma from Business Bollocks. Pronounce the bollocks really loud there.
Oh, bollocks.
But yeah, so she's going to be there as well. So that should be pretty good. I'm not sure why the website's duplicating itself there. That's what happens when I edit it right before the show. It's duplicated everything there, but well, we'll sort that out later. And obviously we've got all those influencers, which we seem to be getting more and more added in every week. So which is pretty good.
Yeah, we're getting. I even got an email last night that I didn't know about until this morning, and it was Adam over at CMS saying, "Have you got room for me to add some more?"
Yeah.
So if you have already booked distributors, so many spaces, and you think that you can bring some more if you only had the room, give me an email over. We'll see what we can do.
CMS distribution on their own. They're bringing, is it? They're having 13 exhibition spots for all their different vendors, just to give you a rough idea. So they're bringing plenty. Case King have got 14 tables worth as well.
I thought they had 12 spots. But I could have been wrong.
14. They've got 10 spots, but the way that it is in a square, it works
No,
out
I'm
14
talking
tables.
about CMS. I thought it was 12, not 13.
13.
Is it?
Because of e-armor, it could become in the spots.
Right. Yeah.
So
Okay.
yeah. Anyway, back to the main topic. So right, okay. Also tonight, on top of the talking, the Tech Awards voting is now open or live or however you want to call it.
Yay.
So I'll put the web address in now for you. So it's just techfortex.co.uk/tech. Oops. If I spell it right, Tech Awards. And that should work, fingers crossed. If it doesn't, just go to the Tech for Tech's main website and then click awards at the top, and it should take you there. It may again be a slight lag because I've just made it live now, so you might find a few linking issues potentially. We found that last time, but just to give you a rough idea, if you are struggling, this is the Tech for Tech website, which is techfortex.co.uk. Just go to either on the left here where it says awards, or click on Tech Awards. That will take you to this page here, which will then let you vote for techs, vote for vendors, or vote for distributors. Just run you through a few names. I'm not going to list every single person because there's a hell of a lot of people on here. But for voting for techs, for example, we've got everything from, we've got Poppy on there, we've got Richard Creedy, Paul Ashford, Will Murr, Zach Smith, Paul Ashford. Then we've got best use of social media, best online stores, best websites, and I'll just go down to the bottom, and we've got some nice pictures on there. So that's Celtic Computers, and we've got JPC, the PC guys, and so forth. Canny Clever stuff on there as well. There's quite a few different bits and bobs, so I'm not going to go through all those, but we'll just go back to the distributor one. So I'll get the right screen on. Okay, we got idea of the vendors. Do the vendors. So you got best vendors, best reps. So you got Dean at Aerocool. You could vote for Louise Hunter at Linksys. You could vote for Intel for your best component vendor. Again, I'm just picking random names that come up. Peripheral vendors. You've got everything from LG, Cooler Master, Thermaltake. Gaming vendors as well, networking, software, and outsource, which is like data recovery, board repairs. I think EADR's on there, who've won a few times. You've got Mind the Mac, Replace Base, and quite a few different features. Even Target's component system builds is on there because obviously they're building machines for you. So you've got quite a few options there. And then on the distributor awards, you've got best distributors. So you've got everything from Bugs and Bytes. You've got Terra on there, VIP. You've got best gaming distributor, best refurbished tech, best account managers. There's plenty on there. Best distributor website and so forth. Just go to the website and you'll be able to vote for these. It is set up so it only registers your IP address, and if you're using a VPN, it disqualifies it. So if you use the same vote from the same place 10 times, believe it or not, you're only going to class as one vote. So on some of the awards, for example, let's just say distributor awards, it will let you multiple pick, so multi-choice, so you can actually choose your best three if you wanted, or you could vote for 10 of them if you really wanted to. But basically, we add it all up at the end, and whoever's got obviously the most gets into the finals. You've got voting till the 23rd of May, so you've got quite a while, so nearly just over 2 months. So you've got 2 months voting. Then a week after that, we have the finalists announced. So we'll have a live show. We'll announce who's the top 5 in each category, and they'll go on to be in that TechMax at the final, and then we'll give awards out. You don't have to attend TechMax to win an award. We're not one of these places what forces you to buy a £10,000 ticket just so you've got a chance of winning an award. We're not those sort of people. So yes, it'd be nice if you're there, but if you're not, well, that's it. And we're not going to tell you in advance either if you are or not. We get a lot of people say, well, come if we're going to get an award.
Yeah.
We're not doing that.
Not doing it.
So you either come or you don't come. That's up to you. So if you win an award,
you actually benefit more by coming anyway, and the award is just a bonus.
That's it. So let me put the screens back on normal now. So there you go. So that gives you a rough idea. So the Tech Awards is live, but as we said, If there is any linking issues, just go to the main Tech for Tech's website, click awards at the top, and away you go. You should be fine. But I will put the link on the screen at the bottom just for now. Right, let's get on to the main topic and less waffle and less chatting around. So, right, okay, so I've completely forgot. What is the topic today, Jen?
Pricing.
Pricing. Okay.
What are you charging? And, how are you charging too much? Are you underselling yourself? And that's what we want to talk about as well, is underselling. Sometimes we get so caught up in the fact that we're going to charge too much that we actually undersell. And that can be bad for your business as well. If they see that you're doing something too cheap, they wonder why out there, and they being your potential customers.
Yeah, definitely. Just a quick one on chat before we move on. So we've got Gadget Joe saying, hi, folks. We've got someone saying, oh, Ducky on that list. So obviously they'll be talking about that brand apparently. Welshie Tech says it might be able to come to Tech Max. Well, just let me know. You've got my details, Welshie Tech. It'd be good to add you onto the list as well. You've got You Go Jenny for something. I don't know what it was for, but you go anyway. It's probably something we talked about 10 minutes ago, but there we go. Right, okay, so let's get on with it. Let's go to Ken first. So Ken, talk about pricing. Give us something. So why do you have your prices at a certain price? Have you got a special formula or a special button you press what tells you how much you should sell something for?
I think, well, if I split it into two sections, so products, we decided on a flat margin right across the whole range, mainly to make our lives easier in terms of adding up pricing and configuring tills, things like that. But then the services side, the services is always a contentious one. Customers want everything for free these days. Some are willing to pay. Then there's the argument, if it looks too cheap, there's something wrong with it. It's when we first started out, we were in a little shopping centre called Royal Keys in North Shields, and our base labour rate for any job was £35. And I think nearly everybody who's watching this has probably just screamed and said that's too low. Given the area we were in and the footfall that place didn't have, we thought we'd kick off low and then work from there. Over 2 years, it worked its way up to £45. Still no better, but that was because of footfall. We moved into a new store in a better area nearly 3 years ago now, and labour rate is currently fixed at £55 per job, which is still too low, according to some people. But having said that, we went with the decision that if it takes 10 minutes, it's £55. If it takes an hour, it's £55. If it takes 2 hours, it's £55. Anything over 2 hours, we're into having a bit of a negotiation. The aim was to try and keep it simple for customers to understand so they could budget. Because then you don't know what parts you're going to need at the beginning. It's a bit like taking your car in for a service, I suppose, or an MOT. You never know what's going to come out the other end for some people. So we try to simplify it. Rightly or wrongly, that's where we are at the minute. But as we look to another store, we're at the beginning of a very slow and steady appraisal of prices, if you like. We're doing a bit of market research, looking at all the competitors in the area and seeing what they're charging discreetly, and then we'll make any adjustments. But rather than have a flat fee going forward, I think we might change it slightly, different rates for different types of jobs, screen changes or motherboard changes or system builds, things like that. We'll break it up a bit.
Okay, sounds pretty good. Definitely a good way of doing it. And it's one of those things, there is never a right price. Because everywhere you are is going to be different. If you're in a city, generally prices are higher. If you're down south, it's generally higher. If you're in a village, it's going to be lower. Some places are more deprived, like seaside towns don't tend to have a lot of money, or at least the people who live there don't.
I think it comes down to what is right for your area.
Mm-hmm.
I can't sit back here and say that Chesterfield prices are going to do well in Southampton, because they just won't.
They do well. You'd be very busy, but you'd be making no money. But
I mean, it's just different areas, different incomes. You've got to assess like you're doing, Ken. I think it's a good idea for you to actually get out there and assess the situation before you say A, B, and C are my prices. That's a good thing for you.
yeah, definitely.
I would probably add, if I can, I think after a show beginning of last year, we brought in a diagnostic charge. We'd been doing free diagnostics for I don't know how long, and we got a lot of people that would use us for diagnostics and take it somewhere else. So we brought that in last year. It was a £20 charge, and we deduct that off the final cost, if you like, so they're not costing them any more. But we found that's actually improved the quality of the business. We're not getting as many times now.
That was one of the first things we did after we opened our store. We were giving it away for free, and we was like, well, people are bringing stuff in, getting it diagnosed, and then buggering back off again.
Yeah.
And we were finding that there was a repeat few customers, and we was like, these must be
25-year-old laptops coming through there.
Wannabe computer techs, which are bringing us, figuring out the problem, and then they're basically then going and sticking a new graphics card in, what we diagnosed was wrong, and then charging the customer for it. So
I had laptops coming through held together by bread ties, and they wanted me to do diagnostics on it, and my really face would come out to play. And
I think that some of the ones we've had that bring them in for diagnostics, and then they'd find another problem after they took it away, which was our fault because we'd laid hands on it. Because we already changed hands at that point. There's no contract, there's no commitment. So it was a case of, no, we've got to start charging for this now.
Yeah. And to Mr. Zuckerberg, unfortunately not. It's actually a Facebook issue, so you want to have a look at yourself, Mr. Zuckerberg, because it's your problem, not ours. So there you go.
my problem.
Yeah, exactly. So I have a feeling we're going to have a few interesting names come through tonight, so like we did last week. But so there we go. So Facebook user Carl is saying that bench fee is £75 for him in Portsmouth. So it really varies depending on, and again depends on how you work as well. Not everyone is going to have such a fancy store and so forth. You may have a smaller store, less overheads and so forth. It's going to alter your prices and so forth. And obviously, if you're really busy, you can easily put your prices up. To be honest, let's go over to Will next before I go all through my list of stuff. Go on, Will. Let us know about pricing. How do you decide your pricing?
So, breaking news, I'm about to open my first store. So listening to Ken here when he says listen to your peers, because Ken's got lots of experience, and I take on board previously what he said about different things, and I used to struggle with pricing, and the ones that would get me would be the old dears, the grannies and things, and needing a printer set up, and pensioners, and I'd go in and set the printer up and just make it £10 because you'd have a cup of tea and a chat with them and things. But I've got a business to run, so you've got overhead yourself, and even though I'm working currently from my garden workshop, I've still got electricity to pay and overheads and fuel and things that I get in there. So it's a big thing that I'm going to need to look at, but it really does depend on the demographic where I am as well. I think the diagnostics fees are definite that I will be putting in place, £20 or £25. The amount of people that I've had lately wanting quotes for gaming machines, and you put the time and effort into sourcing parts and sourcing quotes, and then they don't even get back to you. And basically they've taken the list and they're away purchasing it themselves and putting it together or whatever. So you've got quotations and diagnostic fees, and then bench fees. I can't get away with charging £75. I'm not saying that's expensive. That's, I reckon, for that demographic in that area that Carol's in. People would just, wouldn't come to my shop if I was charging £75 to do that. I've got a bit of competition around my area, so I maybe once every couple of months phone them up and ask them, discreetly what they're charging for this and what they're charging for that, and get a balance of it. And I think that's what works well for me. finding that £35 an hour sort of time is acceptable, depending on what you're doing. But like I say, I could be there 5 minutes or I could be there an hour. So you have really got to weigh it up. And no matter what you do just now, everything's going up in price. Every single thing's going up in price. So we're getting really shot in our foot here because every single thing's going up in price. So you've got to put your prices up as well. And even though you don't want to, but I do the support plans every month, like maintenance contract sort of thing for residential customers. And I'm going to have to put the price of that up because the software I use, Synchro, for instance, they've got bills coming in as well. They're having to put their prices up and things. So it's got a knock-on effect to everything. So interesting show for me to be on tonight because I'm going to learn a lot from it.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I think one of the things I'd say, I mean, I know Will's touched on, you get the older folk in and the people who chat. I mean, we don't turn them away because, to be honest, we're probably the only person I speak to in a week or whatever, and we'll spend 5-10 minutes. But if it becomes a regular thing, we actually work with our local building society, which is down the street, and Age UK. So it's a case of we discreetly pass them on so that they get a bit of support that way and they can have conversations. We invite them to a coffee morning at the building society, and that kind of relieves the burden on us a bit while we're still being nice.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, I think the other thing Will touched on, doing quotes, spending time putting them together. Yeah, I mean, all the time. What we decided to do, we put a big touch screen in the front of our shop, big 75-inch thing, and we've got the Target PC builder on there.
Yeah.
And we literally stand them in front of it, right, what do you need? Click, 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 click. There's your price. Send it off on an email. Get back to it when you need it. It takes minutes rather than having.
Yeah.
It's I mean, it's ideal for ready-made type stuff. If you want something totally bespoke, might not be appropriate, but it depends on the customer.
Yeah.
A lot of the customers that we would get through the door when I'd say, well, let's build your computer. And they'd say, oh, I don't have money for a bespoke machine.
Mhm.
And I said, you don't have money not to have one, was my argument. I said, let's see, what's your budget? And I would have the custom builder, the PC builder from Target around front with our pricing on it. And I'd say, right, let's pick out this, that, and the other, blah, blah, blah. I always picked out the motherboard first. Simply because you can sometimes get in trouble with cases not fitting different motherboards.
Mhm.
And I would go from there and get all my components and get the case last. And then, it's always saving the grand thing for last. Oh, these cases will work with it. Oh, these are nice. They don't get so taken away by the cases that they flip out. So, that configurator that they have at Target, it saved my bacon. I mean, it went from countless hours of researching, are these components compatible, to a few seconds, and then, like Mr. Ken said, have it in an email and tell them that I'll guarantee this price for 1 week.
Yeah.
So long that the components are in.
Mm-hmm.
What we found, I mean, I think if the guys who have stores, if you can afford a big touchscreen, great. I know not everybody can, and they might not have the space. We found it works well on an iPad as well.
Yeah.
So small tablet, iPad, or whichever brand you
An
prefer.
all-in-one. That's what we had.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had an all-in-one. We even had a custom built. We used our old Millennium Falcon and ATAT, what we converted into PCs, and had that next to it, and said basically, I can't remember how many million or billion options it was, of something like 306 million combinations or something that you could advertise. We'd have that sign next to it, and it did pretty well. And it would just use the keyboard and mouse and so forth, and people liked it. So
I think they actually wanted to play with the machine because it was a Star Wars machine more than they actually were serious about configuring a build. But it got footfall in there.
Yeah.
It got footfall. It got kids wanting to build up machines, and at Christmas, their parents would come in and say, "Look, my son said that you showed him this, and we want to buy it." And I'd work with them around Christmas time and everything. So it does
That's it.
work.
Yeah, it does definitely work.
I think for
What would
us, I
you
mean,
sorry.
the big touch screen, when it's not being used to build PCs on, we have videos playing on it. So all the latest games, AMD have a brilliant resource library. I don't know how many people actually access it. I don't think there's that many. I haven't seen them being used, but they'll make you videos that you can download and use on socials. All the rest of it's completely free. So we put them through Canva and come up with a huge playlist, and it just plays in the background. But because it's visible from the street, we get so many people going past on an evening and stopping. But then we'll have adverts in the middle with the price on, and that gets them in the next day.
That sounds good. Yeah, definitely.
What would you think's acceptable amount to put on top of parts? Because sometimes, depends on the part, 15%, 20%, and I've seen people putting 30% on parts. But do you think it all really depends on the component you're purchasing? Because I know with Target's PC Builder, you can put an overall price on top of it.
Well,
Yeah.
it depends because you've got graphics cards that if you
I know
put
what we
30%
do.
on top of those, then that's going to be a large margin.
Yeah.
Whereas if you've got a hard drive and you put 30% on top of that, then that's totally different.
Mhm.
The way we used to
Yeah.
do it, we used to have we charge 100. I think it was 100. I think we put it up after a while. 100 build charge in there, so you put a set margin of £100 on, and then we'd put a percentage on each of the components. So small things like back then a card reader or a DVD drive, you'd put like a 40 or 50% margin on it, but things like graphics card probably as low as 10% or something along that lines. You just got to stagger it, so because you can have both. You can charge that flat fee
Yeah.
on top as well as a percentage, but we also find when we used it, and again, there are other distributors out there for people to use. It's just that the only one what's got this custom builder, which is advantage, is people will come in and you can, rather than having an online store or whatever, or looking up prices and stuff, they can also look at per component. So if someone comes in, I want a graphics card, you can just send them to the builder and they can just look up the price of the graphics card on its own. So
Another mistake we made early on, because we use the Target product feeds on the websites as well, and we made the mistake of not setting the margins the same on the builder
Yeah.
and on the website,
Yeah.
and coming up with something slightly different. And when the customers saw it, I thought, "Oh, sugar!" There was a few swear words, you can imagine.
Mhm.
So you just got to be really careful that they're the same. So that's why we went for a flat rate right across everything.
yeah,
And then I think we added, I think it's about a £75 build charge. But given that we're going to make more on a graphics card
yeah,
and a motherboard and a processor, then it kind of makes up for that.
Balances
that's
out.
it.
Yeah.
You
But I
have
mean,
that £100 on there or 75 or whatever. It just helps you out, especially if it's a really budget build. Because obviously, if you've only got like 15% on all your budget components, it's a 200 quid machine. You don't really would be wanting making a whole machine for like 30 quid profit sort of thing. So you've just got that
It's a
build
little
charge.
cushion.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
you will get people who'll want PCs without Windows on because they want to put their own legitimate versions of Windows on
oh,
and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Windows XP Pro Professional. I got it off the moon.
For £9.99 or whatever it was. Well, obviously, that's a whole nother topic for another day.
Yeah, that's another
But,
show.
but yeah, so one thing I want to get to. Oh, let's get to chat first before we go any further. Before that runs away. So again, Facebook users, if you're coming up as Facebook user, and that seems to be everyone on Facebook at the moment, just type your name after the comment so we know who you actually are. So Welshie Tech says Swansea for house calls is £100 for an hour.
I can believe that.
So yeah, totally agree. Evening guys from another Facebook user. Price of fuel for my jet is through the roof, and now I've had to start driving to work, and that's from D-Tech Steve. I hope it's all well up there in the north. If anyone hasn't seen D-Tech Steve's store before, have a look up his website for his store and so forth. I absolutely love the way he's got the LED lights around the shelves and stuff, and it's more of a unless it's changed it. It probably has since last time I looked. It's got more of a darker look to it, but it actually looks really
It
gamey.
looks
and
like
really
you're actually going. If I were a very young gamer,
Mhm.
it would be gaming paradise. Is what it would be.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
Well, selling all those gaming machines, I suppose he can afford a
Yeah.
private jet. So there we go. We've got another Facebook user saying hello. We've got a Facebook user who says he charges 150 for a house call. We've got another saying £60 per hour flat rate, and that's AJ Computing's no call out fee as long as it's within parameters. Yeah, we never charged a specific fee for going out. We just say it was set amount for the first hour, which included coming out, and then it was a bit cheaper for the next half an hour. But generally, if it was anything over 2 hours, we'd bring it back to base and do it. And if you can't generally do it in the first hour, unless it's something planning for, you might as well bring it back to the
I
store.
remember just before you and I got together, around 2004, 2005 era, in South Alabama, people charging £80, not £80, $80, which the pound to dollar ratio is pretty much on the same right now. And in 2004 and 5, $80 to go to your house.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's a lot for a rural place. But yeah, they were willing to pay it. They were absolutely willing
Yeah,
to
I've
pay
always
it.
found when because I've watched other shows and stuff and taken part in them, and the prices in the States are generally a hell of a lot higher than they are over here for labour jobs. There was one I was watching the other week, and they're in the middle of nowhere, and they're charging like $200 for a call out sort of thing. But again, they do have other things.
But it's
over
a
there.
rare commodity.
Yeah.
It is to get call outs and everything. I thought about it. I said, wow, why don't they just bring their PC to you, to the guy that was going out to see them?
Mm-hmm.
And I stopped myself. I thought, I've got friends.
Yeah.
They know they know I'm good with computers. And so I started doing little bits on the side. Yeah, I had my own little call out, be on your beck and call, and everything. And yeah,
I think one of the things I'd be interested in is to know how many people actually do home visits. I know we don't at the minute. We keep getting asked, but we just don't have the manpower at the minute. I mean, that's the main reason. Plus, then there's all sorts of safeguarding issues, and because we employ a few kids and that kind of thing, so we've got to be careful with all of that. So I'd just be interested in
your staff as well as obviously the people you sending out. You've got to check them and everything, especially if they're going out to people's houses. So.
Yeah, you just never know what you're walking into either.
I'm the only one in my area that I know of that does home visits. The next area out, like Edinburgh and things like that, PC Doctor, who's based in Edinburgh, they do home visits and things. And I've seen them come across into Fife. So there's not many do it. Most people, I think, prefer a home visit, maybe the pensioners and things like that, like you to go out and see them and things, which I try and do. But am I going to be able to keep doing that when I'm in the store and things like that? Then, yeah, that's a different
That's
kettle
the
of fish.
problem we had. I mean, we did them originally, but then when you've got the commitment of a store with set hours,
yeah,
how far do you stretch yourself? I mean, it got to
the
the stage
saving
where
grace of us and the store and call outs was that I would mind the store and Phil would be able to do call outs. And I could catch the phone and say, right, your 12 o'clock call out has canceled, but so-and-so has booked in, blah, 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 and communicate like that. And if it hadn't been for the two of us, we couldn't have done it.
Yeah, couldn't do it. Unless you do evenings only, but then you've got no life if you do that. So, for example, in the day you're in the shop, in the evenings you're doing call outs or weekends or whatever. You've got to think yourself. And we also found that the customers we had on call outs very rarely ever came in the store, and the ones who came in the store very rarely wanted a call out. With the exceptions of the ones who came in the store who bought new computers, we'd get a few saying, "Can you come and set it up for us?" And stuff like that. And that again, that's an extra thing you could charge for potentially for a home setup or whatnot, or you could include it in the price depending on how much you're charging, if it's worthwhile or not.
And another thing we found out when we first opened up, we were staying open till like 8:30 at night, and those same customers that come in at 8:30 started getting there magically at 5 o'clock when we decided to shut at 5.
Yeah.
So it was amazing how, I can't be there at 5 turned into getting there at 4:45 and things like
I mean,
that. I mean,
Exactly.
I
you
think
to learn
the
it.
one. I
It's
think the one thing I would say to Will, if when he gets his shop open, it doesn't matter what time you decide to open in the morning, whether it's 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, or 10 o'clock, you will always get somebody banging on the door 10 minutes before you're due to
absolutely.
open, demanding to know why you're not open. It's
And that's it. I'm going to say, if you also as well, if you do get too busy when you first open, Will, you can always rely on a friend called Jack Daniels.
I'll tell you what I used to do. Now, this was such a great little thing. I used to go in the back door so no one would see
Mm.
that I was there at the shop, so I'd be able to get me a cup of tea before we started. Because without a cup of tea or coffee, I'm just not really a nice person.
And
I
that's
think
it.
the most awkward one I've had. I can't sneak in the back door to our place. I've got to go in the front. But Boxing Day, not last Boxing Day before we opened, and I drove around the corner, parked outside to get the dog into the shop, and then I go park and come back, and there was a queue, and I didn't realise the queue was for my shop. It turned out it was about 40 people long.
Oh my God.
So I've got the dog in, and everybody says, "Well, are you open yet?" And I says, "No, I've got to go park the car, and I'll be back in 5. But then you're going to have to give us 5 minutes to get things ready." Um, it was the Christmas carnage, as I call it.
Mm.
Bought the machines elsewhere, didn't pay enough for them, or paid too much, got ripped off, that kind of thing. But it just shows it doesn't matter what time you're going to open. We didn't even have a sign on the door saying we were open on Boxing Day. They were
Yeah.
just queuing away.
I'm getting in discreetly, though, with you with 2 Labradors.
Not easy.
That's
No,
it. I
it
know.
takes 20 minutes to get from the car to the shop door now because they sniff the lampposts, everybody plays with a puppy, and
Right
it's just.
outside TFT headquarters every morning, you see grown men melt when they see Vaughn. It's oh, so there's no discretion around here about us working.
No, no,
Right, one thing I want to bring up before we go any further is costings. Obviously, to know what you're charging, you need to know how much it costs you. And because of that, I've made 2 spreadsheets, which are very simple for people to use. So hopefully, anyway, I'll put the link in chat in a few seconds to it. But just to put a share screen on, just to show people, let me just enlarge it. So let's get the chat turned off
King
for a
of
few seconds.
spreadsheets.
So basically, this first spreadsheet is basically basically your costings of your store and how much you need to basically make to break even is the best way. So basically, the basics is you can put your rent in, your phone costs, mobile phone, internet. Electric, gas, water, insurance, all that stuff, and any other extras in there. It'll tell you the total of how much your costs are per month. You can then basically say how many days a month do you work. So let's just say 5 days a week, 20 days a month. You can put that in. It tells you then how much money or profit you need to break even. Okay, so for example, on this example, you need to make £109.85 to break even. Obviously, this is before or after tax, I should say. Then you can put down how many jobs you do a day. So 5 jobs a day. So that means each job costs you £21.97 to do. Okay, so this basically works it all out for you. You can change any of that. So if you work, I don't know, 30 days a month, you can change that, and then obviously it'll change the actual how much you need to earn per day to break even. If you obviously change any of the other fees, so let's just say your staff costs you £2,000 a month, it will work all that out for you. It's pretty straightforward. Let's just say instead of 5 jobs a day, you're able to do 10. You put 10 in, it'll tell you how much it costs you to do each job. Okay? Obviously, if you just open your store, you don't know exactly how many jobs you're going to get coming in a day. So take it what you think you may get. So if you were doing a call out normally, like Will's doing, and you probably, I don't know how many jobs he does a day, let's just say 4, then you could work it out from that number. And then if you get more customers coming in than that, then you can alter that as time goes by. Obviously, the more customers you get coming in, the cheaper per job it is. So just obviously, if you're finding that it costs you £50 with all your fees and stuff, and you're only charging £50 to do the job,
You're
you
not
ain't
making no money.
any money, is the basics. So you need to know how much it is. Obviously, you've got sales of individual items and little bits, which obviously don't always tally into that, but this is the main labour charge, or how much you need to be making on each job on average. I've also got another sheet, which I'll open up now. So just give me 1 second while I tell Screen Share to open the other sheet up. If it's going to. Come on. Here we go. That's that one there. And this one is a very simple one yet again. It's basically, how much money do you want to earn personally every year? Again, it's a simple spreadsheet. So yearly total personal income. Again, this is all before taxes. So let's just say you wanted to earn 50 grand a year personally. That would work out at £4,166, which is £136 per day, or works out at £200 per day. So it's telling you how much physical profit you need to make every work day to achieve your goal of earning 40, 50, 100 grand, or you could be like D-Tech Stephen earning £1 million to afford your jet. So you can figure all that out. Again, you just change the number. So if you want 80 grand a year, and then it tells you per working day, let's say you're working 250 days a year, and well, that means you've got to earn £320 profit a day. Okay, so 2 simple spreadsheets, what I've made up, which you can access, and I'll share you the link. It's just in a OneDrive folder, so you don't need an account to do it. So let me close that off and get that shared out for you in chat now. So anyone who wants to download and feel free, edit them, use them however they want. It's just there for basics, so you know how much it costs and how much money you've got to charge, basically, make per day to achieve your income, because you might find out, I'm actually only making £50 a day, and then you figure out, actually, with the amount of days I work here, I might as well work at Tesco's. Okay, so it will help you figure that out, obviously, before taxes and everything. And there's nothing wrong with working at Tesco's for anyone who's watching. But there we go. So some people like Tesco's, but there you go. So it gives you a rough idea. So one thing to figure out your prices and how much to charge, you need to know how much it costs you to run, and those forms will hopefully help you out somewhat. Okay.
I think just after that, Phil, I think we used similar forms, but we decided to go a little bit further, probably a little bit too in depth in some respects. But we broke it down so that we knew what we had to do per hour. But then we've now married that up with a footfall sheet that we keep, so we know what staffing we need, and then that helps keep the bills down. And if we know we're going to be quiet before 10, we don't open until 10. And it just helps drill down on all the business costs, which, saves more money where we can.
That's it. And there's plenty of other software and different things out there people can use. This one's just a basic one, so it's easy for people just to work out, right, cost me so much for electric, cost me so much for water, rent so much, bang, that's how much it costs me. A lot of people probably don't have as big a store as probably Ken does. They're probably a one-man store or two-man or one man or woman or one woman or whatever's. But there you go. So, but right, let's get back onto the main topic. It's 10 to 9 already. So, right, let's go back around the room. So, Ken, do you have anything else you would like to talk about with pricing?
I think I was going to touch on just know your cost base, which you've obviously just done. So before you can even start to set the price, you need to know what your costs are, which you've covered. I think it's as well. I mean, it's a case of listening to your customers. I mean, initially when we moved into a new store, we had our £45 labour rate initially, which we bought with from the previous one. And everyone says, well, what's wrong? It's too cheap.
Yeah.
And so we asked questions, guess, well, how much would you be happy paying? There's no shame in asking. And some of them were quite surprised. No, I'd happily pay £100 for that service. And it's a case of, oh, great. But then the next person in, there's no way they're going to pay £100. So it's this case of take a straw poll if you have to. There's no harm in asking customers, what do you think the service is worth?
And then do an average. You can do an average after that.
Yeah, I know. Obviously, pick your customers that you're going to ask. I mean, if you pick the local Raji who walks in, who spends most of his money on tabs and whatever lager's popular these days, then he's not going to want to pay anything. So it's a case of, pick the customers that you pick to ask.
I got some really good advice one time off of the hotel inspector. Phil and I love the hotel inspector. We think she's great. And you'd be amazed that some of her information can translate into our world. She says, she was asking this guy, she says, how much does it cost for you to put on a room? And he kind of looks around the room. He goes, £10. She says, darling, you don't know your costings, do you? You got electric, you've got water, you've got cleaners, and blah, blah, blah. She said, there's no way that it's £10. And she got him in there to add up his costings. And it came out that before anything, it was costing him like £35 to put on a room. And she says, so you've been selling this for, let me get this straight, £40, you've been making £5. And I really say that if you want to know how to price yourself, know your costings, know each and everything that goes into it, lights, water, gas, heat, everything, from the time that you open to the time that you close. Just know and know how much traffic through the door. Keep a tally sheet. We used to do that, and just do that. And I think that after you get all that right, then you can price right.
Numbers and statistics and stuff like that can seem confusing and so forth, but it's the only way.
Overwhelming.
It's the only way you're going to make a profit is if you know how much it costs you, and that's why I've done those forms for people. I know I did one similar or early revision of one of them. I think a few people took it last time. I found it helpful because they figure out where they're at because you just don't know what you're charging or whatnot, and you think a lot. It's easy to go, oh, this is only going to cost me another £10 a month for this service, 50 for this. By the time you add them all up and you've suddenly got payments coming out every day, you suddenly go, okay, I need to cut back on some of these or whatnot. And you can even use that form for personal use. Edit it and do whatever you want with it. But yeah, totally there.
In the shop, I was a demon about leaving the heating on because I was cold natured. And then when I learned how much it cost to keep the door open, you saw me going over there. Do I really need the heat on? I'll put a shawl around me, maybe.
Exactly.
It's really good advice because, especially for me, because I could easily bury my head in the sand because I love doing what I do and love technology and like helping people. I could bury my head in the sand and saying it's okay to charge that pinch for £10 because I'm passing the way anyway. But when you've got a shop, it's a different ballgame. You've got especially energy charges. That's going to be my biggest one is the energy charges. I think.
That's
I think
even down to a desk fan running costs something. Even your USB powered desk fan. And Phil came through the door one day and he about hit the roof. He says, "My God, there's 3 fans on in here." And I said, "Yeah, and I'm hot, and I'm going to murder somebody if I don't have them on." And he says, Flip, you can keep that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just going back to what Jenny said about keeping a tally sheet, I mean, we keep a footfall sheet so we know what hours of the day, what weeks of the week are busy, or what days of the week. And I think for Will, just starting out in a shop, keep those records, put them on a spreadsheet, and then next year you know what to expect. But the one thing for me, it's helping me plan when I can actually take a holiday.
Right.
So I mean, if you're on your own and you don't have an employee or anything at the minute, if you know you're quiet the first 2 weeks of the school summer holidays, which is normal, take
Yeah.
a holiday, take a
Yeah.
break.
Yeah.
You know, it's but use the information. You know, gather as much as you can. Plus, I mean, the other side of it, as the accountant told me years ago, keep those records, because if ever you have a tax audit and you need to prove how little you made on a certain week, you say, "Well, I had 3 people and I didn't make any money." I mean, it's a lot of paper to keep, but unfortunately, it's the
Yeah,
world we
it's
live
true. Yeah.
And we'll make little notes at the margin on this tally
in.
sheet. Was it ink that you sold?
Yeah,
Was it paper? You know, things like that,
Mhm.
because then that lets you know that if it wasn't really anything major, you could have probably had your door closed that hour or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some keeping it basic sometimes. I know a lot of the things like your Synchro, what you use in Repair Shopper and stuff,
Yeah.
keep all the notes, like how many sales you've done and stuff. But sometimes it's easy to get bogged down with all the
Oh,
numbers and
God,
everything
yeah.
on there. It's just sometimes simpler to have a tally sheet on a sheet of paper, one every time someone comes in, and probably another column for how many of those people actually bought something.
Yeah.
And then you can easily compare that till next year. As Ken was saying, for holidays, but not only that, to see if you're busier on average, as in more customers coming in or not. And on top of that, you can also see if you're making two tallies of how many sales to how many come in. You can actually see if you're getting better at your job and actually managing to sell more stuff per
Or
customer
getting
coming in.
known, you might say.
And another one is when you come to sell the business.
How much
It's
it's
easy to
worth.
do. People will see how many customers you got, how much it's worth, and I would suggest you keep as much information from email addresses to whatever as
Yeah.
possible, because you just never know when it'll come. Someone might come along and give you a silly figure and say, "Hey, I want to buy your business because you've got so many customers coming in," especially if you're the only one in your town. So. But
Very
it's
true.
one of those things.
And for those of you listening, Tech for Text just went up to went out there for sale. When you can have it for a glorious 100 million.
Yeah, okay, 100 million, yeah, maybe, but yeah, but yeah, okay, so definitely keep records on everything. So definitely on the that side of things. Anything else you'd like to add, Ken? We'll go through chat as well. I think
I
chat's
think
been.
the only thing I would add is have a nice mascot in your shop. Will, I don't
Yep.
know if you have a dog or a pet of some sort. I've got
Yeah,
two.
I've got one.
I sent one to bed earlier because he would cause mayhem. The other is on the
Yeah.
sofa behind us sleeping, so you might hear snoring. But it's surprising the effect it has on customers. Firstly, it brings people in.
Yeah.
Secondly, if you do have an awkward customer, if there's something gone wrong, and I mean, if you're like us, it's
Yeah,
right, something's gone wrong. Put our hands up. How do I fix it? And you know, the clap eyes on the dog when the dog's wagging his tail, it diffuses the whole thing. And it's a case of
Yeah. Yeah.
just fix it. You know, here's a new laptop or whatever it is. You know, we'll do it for free or whatever. It helps. So get yourself a decent mascot or dog or something to calm customers and
We
keep them
just
busy.
recently got a puppy actually. So I say puppy. He's now about 8 months. So yeah, I'm hoping to take him with me in the
Yeah.
back office and things like that. So, but yeah, there's not a lot of places up here that's dog friendly, like bring your dog in and things like
Yeah.
that. You know, you get the places that, but I'm all for it because they're very therapeutic as well, aren't they? So,
They are. That is the word that Phil and I used the other night. I was telling him, I said, you know, at the end of the day, when I'm very tired and all I want to do is just sit on the sofa with no one around me, you know, this is not just saying that I don't want to be around Phil. I just
yeah,
want some time to myself. But Bond will come over there and he will lay down on top of me. And there's no greater therapy in the world to chill out than him being right there with me
yeah,
and just, oh,
kisses and cuddles. That's
yes.
therapy.
I think the
Yeah,
only other thing for you, Will, would be because being on your own in a shop when you first start, it's hard work. And
yeah,
Yeah.
if you get 3 customers coming at the same time, You can't serve 3 people at the same time. It's impossible. So I mean, a bowl of sweets. Would you like a sweet while you're waiting? I'll be with you in a minute. You know, it works wonders for it worked for me when I first started out. A couple of seats for them to sit on, and they can talk to each other while you're dealing with another one.
We used to keep lollipops in the store window because people would come in with children and they would get whiny and everything and stand and you're trying to think and do maths in your brain. If you're like me, that's a chore. And I'd look over there at the mother and I'd go, "Do you mind if he has one of these?" "Oh, look what I've got." Here you go. Yeah, take 2. That's fine. That's fine.
That's it. Right, guys, we're getting really close to the end of the show, or we're slightly over, actually. If there's anything else you want to say it now in the comments. But one thing I want to ask everyone in the comments, and this goes for Ken and Will, when was the last time you put your prices up? Ken, I'm starting with you. When was the last time you put your prices up?
About a year ago.
About a year ago. Okay, what about you, Will?
I added £5 on about a year ago when we last done this show about pricing.
Mm-hmm.
So don't forget, we've got inflation, which is very high. What most places do, if you've got a contract with any internet provider or phone company, they'll send you the bill. They'll say the obviously inflation's gone up by whatever percent it is, 7% or whatever, and we're putting an extra 3% on top for ourselves. So I suggest every year you get. We used to do it. It was January, the 1st of January every year we did it. Basically, we'd reevaluate prices, look at inflation. If we didn't do it one year, we did it next, but we put it up. Obviously, 2 years worth of inflation and then a margin or something. Because obviously, you're earning less.
I had a text about 2 hours ago from EE telling me that as set out in my terms, blah blah blah. It's going up 7.9% in line with the CPI and the rate of inflation. So if EE can do it, we can do it.
Yeah, that's true.
That's it.
It has a trickle-on effect, though.
It's like everything. They go on and put minimum wage up and everything, which then increases the prices of everything. So the minimum wage ends up actually being exactly the same place they were beforehand. They suddenly think they're getting £1 more every hour they work, but actually everything's costing more. So that pound, generally within a few weeks, just ends up fizzling out anyway. So
we have Gadget Joe saying there are too many IT specialists around nowadays that claim they can do it cheaper. And I reckon 90% of their customers end up paying more to get it sorted afterwards.
Yeah.
I agree, Joe. They used to come through our door. And Graham and Poppy say, "Ken, best of luck to your new shop. I'm sure you'll smash it."
I might need to put my prices up to pay for it, but never mind.
Oh, that's Ken. It says Will, not Ken. Okay.
Yeah,
Will as well.
Well, Mr. Ken, you're out of this then.
Well, Ken's getting a new shop. Will's getting his first shop, by the sounds of it. So, yeah. I think we'll probably be best to have probably a show about opening a new store one of the days, and probably get Will and Ken on, and maybe someone else who's probably considering doing it. But yeah,
Will, you could get your daughter to do actual footage of Dad painting the store, and
we will go through some of our stories when we first opened our store, including hanging things up on nails on the wall.
What we found on entry of the store before we started cleaning. That's a show in itself.
Yeah. Exactly, but definitely a good one there. So, right, guys, we're going to have to call it here because it's gone past the hour now. So, and we don't want to bore everyone to death who's listening on podcasts, who are working out at the gym listening to us. Some boring people going to the gym listening to us must be. That's all I can say. But there we go. But so all I'm going to say is thanks again. Thanks again for everyone watching. If you haven't already, go to the Tech website. Tech Awards are now live. Again, some of the linking may just be a little bit out, so just bear with it because we've only just obviously uploaded it so everyone can do. port forwarding and all this sort of stuff can sometimes take 24 hours or so for it to catch up sometimes and refreshing browsers. But basically, go to techfortech.co.uk/tech awards, or just the normal Tech for Tech website, and then click awards on there. It should take you to the right place. You can vote for techs, vendors, distributors. Don't go through trying to vote for yourself 100 million times, because it isn't going to work. It picks up the same IP. It's also trained to pick up from the VPN, and it's also going to pick up when you're trying to vote from some weird country which no one's going to be voting from for computer stuff. Let's put it that way. So basically, go on there and get voting. So you should be fine otherwise. And if you haven't, I know I keep saying it, if you haven't got your Tech Max tickets, there's less than 100 days to go. I think we're down to 98 days now, so just over
The
3
clock
months.
is ticking, people.
If you're wanting tickets, especially evening tickets, get them. Okay, we've sold more tickets than we had last year up to now. We've got more exhibitors than we had at the event total last year already, and we're still waiting for, how many is it? 15, 16 for final payments coming through in
Yeah.
the next few weeks. So
And if
on
you want
top-
to exhibit, it's crunch time.
yeah, what was it?
It
9?
is crunch time. And I only have like, I think 6, 7 spaces left.
Yeah, it'd be 7 won't it, after? Yeah.
Yeah.
Today, yeah.
So if you want to stand, you better call me up, people, or email me or something. info@techfortech.co.uk. If you want to sponsor, hey, same email address, and we would welcome that. So if you would like to sponsor TechMax, get your name in there and make your company look really good. It's www.tftmax.com, and you can get all of our information there at who's going to be there. You don't want to be the ones that missed it.
Yeah, exactly. Not much else I can really add on to that from what Jen said, but yeah, there isn't many exhibition spots left. We've sold more than last year. We've expanded the way everything is. We've got new big screens for 86-inch or whatever for the presentations, up from the one what should have been 50 inches, which ended up being looking more like 20 inches last year. What we got so we decided, right, well, we had a bit of a deal with eYama. They've supplied us a screen to do it, so we've got that ourselves.
So you know it's going to be a good screen if it comes from eYama.
Yeah, it's pretty big, to be honest. It's bigger than me when I'm standing.
It actually scared me when it came through the door. I looked at it, I said, Jesus Christ, what is this? And and my husband here, he says, I'm going to have to call Dad. I can't lift this by myself. Yeah. It's a 2-man thing, and then you got me over there trying to hold the stand in place. I said, "This is my magic moment here. It's going to be taking me to get dizzy, fall down, and then they drop the screen, and it's all my fault and everything." Thank God they got it in place. Is all I can say.
I've done 60-inch on my own before, 65 maybe, I think it is. But when I saw that one, I was like, yeah, that ain't going to work. So there we go. So Phil comes in with it and says it's the new iPhone 28. Yeah, definitely. So, right, guys, if we've missed on any of your comments or anything like that, obviously, sorry we missed them, but I'm pretty sure we covered most people. Again, we'll have a show on next week. We haven't got a specific one lined up as of yet. We're still in communications with someone, which may or may not go through, but we will have one next week. We've also got a distributor show coming up in a few weeks as well.
We do.
We've got
Max
update
quarterly
show. We've got quite a few different things coming up, so keep up to date. But obviously, as we said, make sure you get tickets for TechMax because, well, first year we sold out. Second, last year we were getting to the limits, so I don't want obviously people to suddenly go, can we get on a reserve list and stuff like we had to before. So
I might say this: vendors, distributors, and members of Tech for Techs. If you have an idea for the show, something that is that you want to have broadcast and talk about, come come on, pitch it forward. I've put a post in the group. So if all you have to do is ask, all I can say is yes or no. And to vendors and distributors, if you have that magic product that you think is going to win it for you, product launch, you've signed on with a new brand, let me know. We want to know things like this. This is interesting to us. So let me know, and we'll make a show about it. It's all about you, and it's free of charge.
Nice one. Yeah, definitely. So again, QR codes on the screen, websites on the screen. You can just see Will peering over the top of it on there. Yeah, exactly. So unfortunately, won't let us move it from there. So yeah, again, guys. So if you are interested, and anyone who does want to take part on the show, like Ken, Will, any vendors or distributors, we do not charge anyone for doing the show. So if you're a vendor,
That's
you want
right.
to show off products, you're a distributor, you want to talk about how you sell stuff or whatever, we don't charge.
Yeah.
A lot of people think we charge for all this. We don't. So if you want to join us, it's free to do. We want everyone's opinion. It's on our time. It's on our cost. So if you want to actually join us, then please do. The more,
Yeah.
the merrier.
I think if I could just add, Phil, it's not as scary as people think.
No, no.
No.
I hate public speaking, that kind of thing, but this is a doddle. This is easy.
Yeah. My first time on the show, I was scared to death. I won't lie to you. And Cormac was on the show with us. And I just talked to Cormac the whole time and pretended that I understood him.
I
Potato.
think everybody does.
Yeah, it's not as scary. The first one, I don't like see myself or hear myself, my voice and that, but it's good. Just you're amongst friends, so it's fine.
Yeah.
One thing I hear from a lot of people, it gives them more confidence as well, talking to people and stuff, meeting them, and you also become, if you're on the show, especially the people who come on quite often, you come sort of a bit of a celebrity within the trade as well.
Yeah.
So people will be coming up to you at the event. Oh, I've seen you on this, that, and the other, and so.
And
forth.
believe it or not, they trust your opinions.
Yeah, exactly.
They start putting trust in you because you've shared with them, your stories, your journeys, and things like that. And it's like a friend and a celebrity all in one.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
A celebrity.
Yeah.
Right, we're definitely going to end it there. No more waffle. Just to say thank you for voting Peter at the Station, and goodbye, everyone. Thanks for joining us, Ken. Thanks, Will. And
Thank
obviously,
you all.
thank you to everyone who's watched the show today. And I'm just going to leave you with this little video, which